DiverSync is a weekly netcast where we talk about the world of scuba diving, fantastic diving opportunities, and some of the happenings in the underwater world. We also provide tips and discussions about scuba diving and get excited about upcoming dives and adventures. Learn how you can join us on our dives and become part of the program by following DiverSync on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, or by visiting our website at www.diversync.com. Hello and welcome to DiverSync, the netcast and podcast for scuba divers. My name's Rich Synowiec, and you're listening to episode 513, recorded May 31st, 2023, and I'm just under the wire as far as getting to May. I'm trying to do the whole 12 for 12 at least with this podcast since it's rebirth, and I'm having a struggle with it, especially as summer gets closer. So I'm going to try to get a little bit more into getting what we're doing and not necessarily looking for the perfect solution like I have been, and trying just to throw something out there and hope that you guys like it. I do appreciate those people that are on Patreon, and thank you very much for helping me support this financially. I'm looking to get a new backdrop. This was my wife's one when she was in school because of video meetings and that. She put it up in her room, so I basically came up with this last month because a friend of mine said you need to stop blurring your background. You just need to do it a little bit differently. So still work in progress. I did get a new chair, but things are going nicely. It's just that I didn't get to do the things that I wanted to this month. So Fort Sumter didn't get done. It is the 360 video that I'm doing is really cool, but it is an amazing amount of time to go through what you do, because you're essentially running a bunch of cameras at once and you're able to move things around, and I'm still learning it. And I think once I get the process down, I think it's going to get some really good content. For you guys that are looking for something, I did buy 2 different housings for it. They were really cheap. They were under $50 each. And I'm glad, because one of them looks like it's going to get scratched to hell right away. The other one doesn't look like it's going to work as well, but I didn't have any time to get to it. It's funny because I actually got a whole week back, and I'll talk about that shortly. But I'm doing really well. It's just that I'm a victim of my own success. So the Fort Sumter video didn't get done. Because I want to make it something that's entertaining. I don't necessarily want to make it something that's just a bunch of random videos. So I do have some random videos, 2 of them. They're not very long, but I do have 2 of those that are, they are the result of something that when I was introduced to the 360 camera up in Munising this past February, my friend Nick from Dive Sega, he came up with the idea of using it as a drone, and I like that idea. I have a drone. It's a cheap drone. My kids do more drone photography, but it didn't have a really good camera because I can't really afford a really good camera. I don't really use it that much. So I wanted to try a drone to see what would happen. Well, guess what? It's always too windy, or it's always too fill in the blank here. So this one was a little bit better. So I have a video. Yesterday we were teaching at Gilboa Quarry, and the idea behind it was, so anyway, the idea behind it is I went to the dock, and my student was late. He ended up getting up late, so I went to the dock and I started messing around with something that looked like a drone. And so I'm going to share that with you, and then I have a whole bunch of stuff packed into this month's episode, because this past month of May was full of the unexpected. And I want to talk a little bit about that. I want to talk a little bit about post-COVID travel and post-COVID just dealing with people, because it's amazing. For those people that are in manufacturing, I'm finding that this is a common discussion that people have, that it takes 5 or 6 different phone calls. So I want to talk a little bit about that. And then we're going to talk a little bit about some of the tech stuff that I've been doing this month, because it has been a month of tech training for me. So hopefully we move on to that. So anyway, stick around. We're going to show you a video. So this video I'm actually going to show you 2 videos, and I'm going to talk over both of them. I'm going to give them a little bit of space. I'm trying to give this a little bit different way of doing it. I was going to try to do a voiceover kind of thing. I'm going to probably eventually go to that route, but the idea is that we're going to try to play it again. I don't have anybody live in Zoom at this point, but these videos aren't working real well for the Zoom recording, but the edits are working out pretty decently. So let's go ahead and show you this one. Okay, so here we are with the video of the 360 video. Now this is a 360 camera, but you're able to make it look like a drone, which the editing leaves a little bit to be desired, since I'm still quite learning how to do it. I'm not quite there yet, but it's I did 2 of these videos, and it was kind of neat. The result I'm pretty happy with. So ultimately, I think that once I figure out the creative parts of it, because I'm still thinking in 3 dimensions and in a space that's not quite that 360-ish, not that 3D. But I think that there's a huge amount of potential for using this, and it is waterproof, so I can dip it in the water. The video housing makes it clearer, and I think that it's on a poll right now that AI is keeping from happening, or keeping from showing. So that's the first one, and then we'll go right on into the second one. So this is the second one that we've got going through, and they're nice little short videos. I think they're going to make really good snippets, really good content. Problem is, content editing takes just as much time. You can see my shadow of the stick right there in that one, if you look real carefully, and it makes it look like a drone. I think that the AI does a really good job. There's some glitches in it that you can see that the stitching happens when I cross one of the meridians, because it erases the camera, it erases the pole, and it erases the kind of the median between the top and the bottom in that. So it does a pretty decent job though. And this is Gilboa Quarry, for anybody that's looking. This is where I do my deep stuff. Most of what you see there is 120 to 130 foot deep, 115 to 130 foot deep. So it's kind of a nice little dock entrance. Nobody uses this entrance because they have really strict rules as far as diving on the deep side, and so people just enter from the shallow side and jump over the wall so they don't have to follow the rules. It's true. The way that things work in diving is that there are the people that follow the rules and the people that don't, and we are the ones that follow the rules, and we like this dock because it's usually very, very quiet and very private. So I'll take it. So that is the 360 video and Gilboa Quarry, and we're going to show you some underwater stuff. The visibility this month has been spectacular. It is off the charts, and I'll take it. The water's cold. When the water's cold, the visibility is great. For you guys that aren't cold water, freshwater, local diving, I'm going to tell you what, cold water, every dive place that I've gone in the cold, for the most part, the visibility has been spectacular over the course of the winter versus the summertime. So let's get into a little bit more about what this month was. So this month started out in true fashion that I opened up White Star Quarry and the concession. The quarry's been open for a couple months, and people can dive there. But I run a scuba concession there for listeners of this podcast for a long time. I talk about it a lot because it is kind of our home place. And all during 2020, we were able to dive there because it was open to the public. And since 2020, there's been a lot of different changes. People have gone on to do other things. People who dove the crap out of stuff during 2020 now can go do the things they couldn't do during COVID, and now we're finally getting to the point where travel is all open, everything's open. What's not open is the way people handle their world, the people that handle their jobs, people that handle their employees, the people that handle a whole lot of the different aspects in life. Those things aren't as they were before. Now, I'm going to tell you that going into 2020, the first 2 months, and then all of 2019, I was ecstatic. I had finally gotten my shop to where I wanted it to be. It could run without me. I could focus on podcasting. I could focus on the things that I want to do. I could focus on more tech training. I could focus on traveling. My ultimate goal is to do nothing but instructor development and tech. That's my ultimate goal. Now, I still teach open water. I still teach the beginning stuff, and I really do enjoy all aspects of it. But the part that I'm not enjoying post-COVID is the fact that it takes 5 or 6 different phone calls to get anything done. Whether it be a travel reservation, whether it be an order, whether it be, I don't know. The only thing that really goes well is I've learned how to manage my shop in that I empower my people to do whatever they need to do what I expect. I don't tell them how to do something. I tell them what I expect now. And I train them to make sure that they can do that. And I expect that in other people. But I have people, I have orders where I place an order and I have to make 3 or 4 phone calls. Oh yeah, you know what? We should get around to sending you that sometime this week. Or I get a, okay, yeah, I'll ship it tomorrow. Hey, where's that order? I haven't gotten it a week. Oh, it'll go out tomorrow. But you said that a week ago. And that's normally how it works. Well, travel turned out to be the same thing. I was supposed to go to Iceland next month. And we're supposed to leave in about 2 weeks. And the Iceland trip fell apart. It's the first time I can remember where I've had to cancel a trip where people have given me a second deposit. I had to give all that money back, which I didn't have all that money back from the vendor yet. But the idea behind it was they kept moving the bar forward. So tell me the price of the trip. Well, okay, well, I'll get that to you. And they get it to me. Oh, well, I'm not sure I can make this. Well, it turns out that I asked for too much. It was on me. And what I wanted to do was we went to Iceland in 2019, had a phenomenal time. And everything was great, but there were things that I wanted to see in Iceland that we didn't get to see. And so when you fast forward to today, I wanted to do all of those things in a 10-day period instead of in a 7-day period. And so I gave them a little bit more time, but it turns out I'm pretty sure that the operator is a really good operator, and I don't want to diss him, so I'm not going to disappoint him. I don't want to talk bad because I want to use him again. I would use him again, but this is where I'm going with the 2020 stuff. The post-COVID world, you can't ask for people to do more than what they already have done. And these operators are used to tourists who fly in for 1 day and do one thing. So you fly in and you do Silfra, you fly in and do the glaciers, you fly in and do whale watching, you fly in and do Stryton, you fly in and do the Blue Lagoon. These are all things that they do once. And so I was doing, the first day we're going to go to Stryton, the second day we're going to go to the Golden Circle Tour, the third day we're going to go to Odin's Tier, fourth day we're going to go to the Blue Lagoon, fifth day we're going to go to Stryton, sixth day we were going to do whale watching, the seventh day was going to be a travel day, and the eighth day was going to be at Grimsey Island, the ninth day was going to be at Grimsey Island, and the 10th day was going to be back at Reykjavik. The island's not huge, it's a size of Ohio, but it is 6 hours across by car, so by bus. So I probably asked for too much. And I did definitely ask for too much outside of their comfort zone. The first big thing that people did was that they, the comfort zone part was that, my watch just went off. The comfort zone part was that they're not used to a big group. They're not used to groups that want rebreathers. They're not used to, so the rebreathers fell off the table early. All the other stuff I still wanted. And the last minute was they had not given me a price. They were demanding final payment, but not giving me the final price, and then telling me, oh yeah, by the time when you get here, it's probably going to cost a little bit more. I can't play that game. I can't ask my clients to do that. And then I had also clients who had just come because they're dealing with post-COVID stuff. I had 2 clients that said, hey, you know what? If I can get out of this, I will. I would like that. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to have a bunch of people. This one was absolutely, it was interesting because it was mostly a trip of new customers, which was the disappointing part. These were people that weren't normal people that walked into the store, which is probably one of the parts that was a little bit of a disconcerting thing, because the first time I went to Iceland, the price got bumped up a couple times, but I knew everybody going wouldn't care. This time I didn't know. So that one got nixed. So I got a month back. So hopefully I have something else. I've already filled that month with extra training. I filled that month with a trip to, we have a free ticket that we got from Delta, me and my wife. So we're going to go do a weekend in Key West. But just to walk around, go snorkeling and that sort of thing. I'm not even diving because we're only there for 2 days. But that's going to be June. And then this month, I was supposed to be last week, I was supposed to be at Meg Ledge. And I got halfway down. I was almost to Charleston, West Virginia. And the dive boat operator called and said, we're going to have 7-foot waves on Tuesday, and they're only going to build and only going to get rougher. So you might as well turn home. So twice now, the Meg Ledge trip has been canceled prior to me getting there. And twice now, I've lost a full week of Airbnb for 5 people. So financially, that's part of post-COVID versus COVID. COVID, I knew that travel was going to be a rough go. So I out-of-pocketed an awful lot to make sure that they still went. And I can't do that. And I'm not seeing it. I'm seeing it with the customers that understand the really importance of that and what it takes. But I'm not seeing the part where people are, the people are who I took care of during COVID because their shop wasn't doing the things that they needed to do. Now they're back with their shop and not realizing that, look, you got to dive for 2 years because of us. And now that there's people that are like, hey, well, why aren't you taking care of me now? Because you're not one of our customers anymore. You don't even sign up for our trips. Why should I do this for you at 10 o'clock at night when you don't even come into the store anymore? I appreciate what you did during 2020, and I hope you appreciated what we did. But that's the post-COVID travel and post-COVID world. I can't make concessions. I mean, I had a gentleman that called the other day, and we've worked it out. But he called the other day and he said, I bought this online and I don't think it's the right size. Can you come over my house and check it out because you live close to me? No, I can't. You didn't buy it for me. I just don't want to give you that time. That's where access to me comes from. And that's where the whole Patreon thing here comes from. Is that if you're a patron and you need something, ask. You're a customer that comes into our store. That's how that works. If you're somebody random, ask. I'll probably give you somebody that can give you the answer, but it won't be me. I do answer a lot of the emails. I do answer a lot of the messages personally, but I'm farming that out. I have people that I hired. I have virtual assistants that I've hired. There's people that are farmed out. When you call, you're going to get the answer to your question, and then I'm going to turn you over to one of the people that can actually do the work for you because I have other things that I'm doing. So, but moving on, let's talk about some slides. All right, so let's talk about some training. So fast forward to the training aspect of this. I had a Tech 50 open circuit, open circuit class that I was doing at the beginning of this month, which turned into also an instructor class, which turned out to be really cool. And then last week, I'm just finishing up today, I finished the Tech 40 CCR class. So the Tech 40 CCR class pictures I have, the Tech 50 pictures I have, and I'm going to share those with you now. So let's go ahead and see how that works. Yeah, you guys are seeing now. This is the second week of May, and this is what Gilboa looked like. So I don't normally take a camera when I'm teaching the skills section of the tech class. The camera goes with me on the 2 final dives or 1 final dive as the mission, because you have to come up with a mission, and people are doing the mission because of the coolness factor of the technical courses, and so they want pictures and they want video, and they plan the dive, and so I give them that. And so these are some of the pictures. They're able to bring their own cameras if they want, but this is Brandon. He was the student, and then we had Eric, who's the other picture. He was the instructor trainee, who became an instructor. He'd been working all week with me to become this instructor for this and side mount. But take anything underwater and it becomes interesting, even though it's an old Christmas tree and a tire. The visibility was really good, but also was the fact that nobody had been down there. So things like this is a misty, sulfury layer that's on the bottom. It's from the decomposition of the leaves, from my understanding, from what people tell me. But it makes like a river channel, and you'll see that from the Tech 40 CCR pictures. But this is the deep hole. So Tech 50 has a minimum depth of 130 feet for the last dive. And I do not like doing it at Gilboa Quarry because the 139-foot deep hole isn't really deep, because you can go up to 165 feet at like Lake Wazee or Fortune Pond. But it is filling in the standards. And that bottom right there was 139 feet right there. That's the deep sump. Problem is you have to do a huge long swim. It was almost 10 minutes to get to that sump. And so when we went back, we came back up kind of to preserve gases and to preserve decompression time. We went down to this, and then we came back up shallow to do a second multi-level and see the shallow side, because we spent pretty much the entire first 15 minutes at over 130 feet, at over 120 feet. And we had to get into this sump right here, which is part of the deep sump. But that's the obligatory picture at depth from Brandon doing the sides, and that's Brandon and Eric together. And so they were able to do the things that they needed to do, or the skills that they needed to do while here. Now, heading up the well, we see this old structure. They called this the tower when they do it, but it's actually, we tried to build a shipwreck out of old, I built most of that. Trying to build a shipwreck out of a bunch of old telephone poles. And so it became into something. I mean, put a bunch of junk underwater, it becomes interesting. Sink a boat next to it, even becomes more interesting. Now, Gilboa normally doesn't have this kind of visibility in the midsummer because all of the open water training, you can see the platform behind this up there, but all the open water training platforms and all the open water training sites, so down on the bottom the visibility gets really bad, and so they have all these lines to connect it. We don't have that at White Star. The visibility stays pretty good. This is an old helicopter. The skin has kind of rotted off because of galvanic action. I just saw a picture of it the other day, and it actually had complete skin when it was sunk, but it's gone now. But the trout are fed, so there's no fishing involved, so the trout are fed, so they get kind of in every picture. But it was insane visibility, and we couldn't take it because we were the only people in the quarry, and the visibility was spectacular. I like that shot a lot. They have 2 school buses. They have a bunch of stuff sunk, but they have the same amount of stuff sunk there that White Star has, a few extra stuff. But they're the same size as White Star, but it's a third above 100 feet. Only a third of what White Star would be above 100 feet. Really good time. And I don't normally teach open circuit because it's kind of going the wayside when you have rebreathers available to you. Technical diving is still there as far as open circuit is concerned, but rebreathers tend to be the way that people go now if they're getting into tech. Okay, so that's the end of that slideshow, and so that was the first week of May. And congratulations to Brandon and Eric who completed their certifications respectively. Eric became an instructor, and he's an instructor out of the Chicago area. And Brandon is a diver that dives regularly with us, and he moved to the west side of the state, unfortunately, so we don't see him as often as we used to. But he does have a whole lot of tech stuff planned for us this summer. So the other tech thing that we did was the Tech 40 CCR. And the Tech 40 CCR was done this past week, and let's shake it a bit. But so we're going to share that screen with you now. Okay, this is Jake. Jake was doing his Tech 40 CCR, the beginner class. This is the entry-level class in the Tech 40 in the technical diving on the Prism 2. It's the Prism 2's entry class right now. I'm hoping that changes. I'm hoping they let us start a little bit earlier with some of the changes PADI's going to do with their tech program, but we'll see. But the first dive has to be above 120 feet, and so thank God there's a structure that's above 120 feet. It's a truck trailer that they made into a shipwreck, and eventually the walls fell down and the things inside deteriorated like shipwrecks do from people swimming through it. But it is open all to the surface through big holes, and so swim-throughs and that sort of thing are real easy. And then they've sunk some stuff down deep. Now this is in 121 feet, I think, is the bottom. So our maximum depth is for this dive is 120. If you got down to the bottom, you get to about 121, 122. But that's the first dive. We're not allowed to go that deep. The second dive, we try to go all the way to the bottom because the max depth's 130. We don't actually get to 130, but that is just insane visibility. Now, the bright white dot you see in the back is I happen to time it real well, and we got one of the strobes. That strobe is over 100 feet away. This is a wide-angle shot with my camera, and you can see the rivers on the bottom of that sulfur stuff as they sit in the trenches there. It's pretty neat that you get that kind of clarity and that kind of visibility. It was insane when we did this class. The visibility, you don't normally see everything. There was a lot of junk, and you already see it all, but you have to swim from piece to piece to piece. You don't get to see it all at once like in this picture. One of my friends, I like to quote it. It said, if you don't like quarry diving because of the visibility, you're diving the wrong quarries. And I'll show you some pictures of White Star 2 that I took, not to tout just one quarry, but most of the Michigan and Ohio quarries this time of year are this clear. It's like gin clear, really, really nice stuff. So that boat was swamped most of the time up to that inside thing, and then they towed the flotation and let it sink. But that's Jake, and you can see the wall behind and the platform and the boat. That's the boat that we were just swimming near, and the visibility was just insane. I can't get over how clear it was. Water temperature was 46 degrees on the midwater, a balmy 40 on the bottom, which is a lot warmer than it normally is. It's usually 38, and we did a 20-minute-ish dive. And swam out to this boat and then turned around, came back. That's kind of the same thing we do. You'll see this in a lot of pictures. If you follow me on Facebook and Instagram, you see these boats and that, because I do this exact tour with every class of Tech 40 CCR divers that I do. And we do the obligatory swim through the culvert there as we swim back. That's what I've been doing this month, but not to tout anybody's horn but my own. We have to show you some pictures of White Star. These were taken with my camera on my phone. Early in May, I went out and spent a day getting things ready for the concession out there. And I didn't bring dive gear with me. I didn't bring a dive buddy with me. And lo and behold, we get conditions like this. So when I went out to White Star and I take a picture for a post, this is what I saw, and it was unbelievably incredible. You could see Mars. You could see Hades. It was unbelievably clear. And you don't normally get the ability to see this much from the surface, but the light was perfect, and the visibility was spectacular. That's the deep dock. We call it the deep dock. It's 40 feet right under that dock. It's not a walk-in entrance. It's a giant stride entrance. It's a boat ramp right next to it. Show you a picture of that in a minute. But right here is where the structure was, where they built the mine. There's a subterranean room down there. But I don't see visibility like this usually, except in maybe March when it's midwinter. But it was a beautiful sunny day, and we had an incredible amount of clarity, and this was one of the best pictures I could see. You can see the bottom all the way down over to the left, and that's the bottom. That white dot to the lower left-hand corner of the screen is actually a piece of wreckage on the bottom, like from I don't know what it's from, but it's like a piece of plastic. And then that's our fins on swim ladder to get out at that deep end. But if you're not diving this time of year because it's cold, you need to rethink it, because you can stay warm. So cold water diving this time of year, we have a lot of people that do dry suits, and that brings up for some people, I think I talked about this last month, but the dry suit specialty has changed a bit due to some standards that were changed with PADI. So we've been getting a lot of people who their dive shop wasn't really qualified to teach dry suits. They didn't have dry suit rentals. It's a big undertaking. It's something I probably would not have done if I didn't have the ability through Scuba Craft to get some pretty inexpensive stuff that I can recondition. So we have a ton of dry suits that people are able to rent, and we get a lot of people that do their open water. This weekend last weekend we had people doing their open water in dry suits, the dry suit specialty and that sort of thing. So it was kind of nice. So anyway, I'm gonna sign off on this podcast. I hope that you got all the way to this end. I'm gonna try to do better with the video. I'm trying to do better with some captioning. I'm thinking that I'm going to start doing the video voiceovers. But if you have suggestions, please message us. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram. If you're watching this on YouTube, give me a like, subscribe, hit the bell button so you know when I have one of these. I'm going to try to be more regular about it than once a month, late in the month. I have 2 weeks open now that I'm trying to fill up, but I have 2 weeks open in June where I'm doing where I was supposed to go to Iceland, but now I am doing Rebreather repairs, and I'm doing a couple of extra classes and a trip with my wife. So always keep the family happy. That's an important part. If you're interested in cold water diving, come see us. We got shipwrecks divings. If we're going to go out in June, we have a shipwreck trip in June 17th. We're going to be at Port Synowiec. That's a recreational level trip. And in June, the weekend of June 25th, we're going to be in Milwaukee, and that's a technical level trip. So hopefully people come out, and I'll hopefully have some pictures for you in the times to come. So going through the old stuff, going through the last 2 years, still trying to find time to do that sorting and make this a podcast you guys enjoy listening to, enjoy watching. So until next time, we'll see you. DiverSync is a cooperation between Divers Incorporated and Divers Media Group. You can download archived past editions worldwide over the internet at DiverSync.com. If you wish to support DiverSync financially, you can find us on Patreon for bonus content, announcements of live performances, product giveaways, and other opportunities to be part of the program. Help us promote our netcast by telling your friends and dive buddies to subscribe to DiverSync on YouTube and Spotify. The opinions that you hear on DiverSync are not necessarily those of any station, website, network, or advertiser. These netcasts are not intended to substitute for professional diver training. Scuba diving does involve risk and should never be attempted without the proper instructions, supervision, and training. Have any questions or comments? We'd love to hear from you. We are on Facebook and Instagram for messages, or you can email us via our website at DiverSync.com.